I work at the Butler County Farm Bureau, and I'm glad that you're with us today. We're going to talk about pumpkins. We're going to talk about the pumpkin circle. And I'm going to read this to you, and then there's going to be a little craft that you can do afterwards. The pumpkin circle. The pumpkin seed makes the pumpkin plant, and the pumpkin plant makes the pumpkins. There's too many pumpkins to even count. Deep within each pumpkin, the air is damp and cool. The walls are lined with teardrop seeds, each one a slippery jewel. It's kind of like when you take off the top of the pumpkin to make your jack-o'-lantern and all that stuff inside, it's cold and kind of messy. Scrape them from their orange cave, wash away the mush, save a few to grow next spring, and have a bunch to munch. So you can actually roast the pumpkin seeds, and they're actually good for us. When the earth is soft and warm, plant those sleepy seeds. So what time of the year do you think that the earth is soft and warm? Probably be in the spring, wouldn't it? In about 1 week, out peak to fresh, young, fat, green leaves. So 1 week is 7 days is all it takes for the seed to sprout and have 2 fat, green leaves. The garden will be home to many pumpkin cousins. Each one started from different pumpkin seeds. So when you look at this picture, you can see that all 5 of those are different shapes, different colors. Some are small, some are large. So each pumpkin is started from a different seed. Every passing minute awakens each new plant, reaching down with silky roots, reaching up to dance. And in this picture you can see where the seed is. This is all underground, and this is where the roots are grown. The root system has to be very good because the root is how the plant gets the nutrition and the water from the soil. If we don't have good roots, the plant can't stand up straight and tall. Week by week, the backyard patch spreads before your eyes, filling every inch of space with leaves and roots and vines. So here's all the backyard. Here's the man with the orange gloves. Here's his gloves, and it says, huge green leaves grow towards the sky, prickly, lush, and wide. He put his gloves in that picture so you could see just how his hands compared to that huge leaf. They soak up sun and water and make a shady place to hide. Twisty tendrils grasp like hands, stretching out to cling. They roll down into fancy curls and widen up just like springs. Then, suddenly as angels, flower buds appear with pointy little collars and gleamy silver hair. Now, can you remember, what did we plant in the spring? A seed, didn't we? And after 7 days or 1 week, what grew? 2 fat green leaves, didn't it? So now, this flower blossom comes. Velvet petals open, brilliant sunlight bowls, delicate fragrance, a sign of pumpkin gold. So this big blossom grows. Now along come the bees, floating through the air, buzzing, gathering, guzzling, zooming everywhere. So the bees go from blossom to blossom to blossom. And each time they go from blossom to blossom to blossom, they pick up a little of the pollen from one blossom and they deposit it into the next one. And because of that, they pollinate or make the little pumpkin start to grow. Butterflies and spiders, grasshoppers and snails explore the pumpkin garden as they travel private trails. So there's a lot of bugs under there, aren't there? Now, 100 days of weather, 100 days of care. 100 days is like when you get out of school in the spring, all summer until you go back to school. That's 100 days, or approximately. Pumpkins climbing up the fence, pumpkins everywhere. So what did we start with in the spring? What did we plant? A seed, didn't we? And after 1 week or 7 days, what grew? 2 fat green leaves. And then, as the vine of the plant grew, something grew on the plant. It was, you're right, it was a blossom. And what went from blossom to blossom to blossom? The bee. And then, here's that little pumpkin that was growing. Hold up pumpkins, sit up straight so they grow up round and proud. Scratch on pumpkin names so they stand out in the crowd. Or just sit back, enjoy the view. Pumpkins grow because pumpkins know what to do. Now, when the summer turns to fall and green turns to gold, shorter days bring chilling nights and pumpkin vines grow old. Now comes the harvest, pluck treasures from the vine, clear away the lifeless leaves and hide the rags of time. So the man with the orange gloves is cleaning up the garden, isn't he? He's going to start to harvest these pretty, pretty pumpkins. Gather up the finished fruit, ripe and fully grown. Tidy up the garden, make a cozy pumpkin home. Salute the pumpkin circle, make way for pumpkin cheer. Behold the pumpkin miracle, we're pumpkin millionaires. Now what did we start with in the very beginning? What did we plant in the spring? Right, it was a seed. And then after 1 week, what grew? 2 fat green leaves. Then as a vine grew, something grew on that vine. It was pretty yellow. It was a pumpkin blossom, wasn't it? What went from blossom to blossom to blossom? The bee. And he pollinated that blossom. And after he pollinated it, what grew? A small green pumpkin grew. And then a larger pumpkin grew, didn't it? So now we're going to make our pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern. Make up pumpkin faces at bright candlelight. Set them on the doorstep. Let them flicker in the night. What happens, though, after Halloween? What happens to our pumpkin? Well, every day those pumpkins change, getting older, and they get stranger. Sinking, shrinking pumpkins. Back to the earth they go, turning into muck and dirt and a place for seeds to grow. So this pumpkin, when they carved it, they left some seeds in there for the teeth. And as the pumpkin got worse and worse, it disintegrated and it went back. And the next spring, those pumpkin seeds grew 2 fat green leaves, didn't they? How did this begin? What is a pumpkin thing? Is there a Mother Nature? Is there a pumpkin king? We can be sure of this. It's a circle without an end. It's pumpkin seeds to pumpkin seeds again. So today, you should all have a packet. And we're going to make something that will remind us of the pumpkin circle. What did we start with? We started with a seed, didn't we? And it was planted in the spring, and it took 1 week, 7 days, for it to grow the leaf. Okay, this leaf, if you look at it, has 2 holes in it, doesn't it? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to attach this leaf to our pumpkin seed. So we're going to put the string up through one of the holes in your leaf, like this, and then we're going to put it down through the other hole so that we can attach it right with the seed, like this. So we started with the pumpkin seed, and after 1 week, grew 2 fat green leaves. Can you remember what grew on the vine? It was really, really pretty yellow, and it was the blossom. Now, if you look at this blossom, it has 2 holes in it, doesn't it? Just like the leaf did. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the string up through one of the holes in the blossom, and then we're going to put it down through the other hole in the blossom so that we can add it to our pumpkin chain. Okay, so your pumpkin chain should look like this. Has a seed, a leaf, and the blossom. Can you remember what went from blossom to blossom to blossom? You're right, it's the bee. So we're going to add a bee right after the blossom. And if you can see, there are two holes in the bee again, aren't there? So what we're going to do is we're going to put the string down through the one hole in the bee, and we're going to put it up through the other hole. So we can add that right to our chain. Now, after the bee went from blossom to blossom to blossom, what grew? You're right, it was a green pumpkin. So we're going to add it, because it has two holes just like all the other things. We're going to put the string down through the one side of the green pumpkin and up through the other side of the green pumpkin. Now, as it got later and later in the summer, there was the green pumpkin turned into an orange pumpkin, didn't it? It has two holes again, so we're going to put the string down through the one side of the orange pumpkin and up through the other side of the orange pumpkin. So it's going to be added right after the green pumpkin, isn't it? Now, when it got to be Halloween, we all gathered the fruit or the pumpkins out of the field, and we chose one to make our jack-o'-lantern, didn't we? So now this pumpkin has been turned into a jack-o'-lantern and only has one hole in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to put the string down through the hole in the pumpkin, and we're going to just knot it, because this is the end of our pumpkin. Now, in our story, after the pumpkin was made into a jack-o'-lantern, the jack-o'-lantern decomposed, didn't it? It rotted, didn't it? And it shrunk and it turned to muck. So in the spring, when that pumpkin was out in the field, it still had seeds in it, so the seed grew, didn't it? And it started our cycle all over again. The seed, the leaf, the flower, the bee, the green pumpkin, the orange pumpkin, and lastly, our jack-o'-lantern. So I want you to remember that this is our pumpkin circle, how it grows, and how we continue to have the pumpkin seed to plant each spring. Thanks for coming, and I hope you had a good time. Bye.